We might not need it with YouTube. YouTube lets you broadcast almost anything.
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right, you guys are live on YouTube.
I don't have to do anything, right?
Nope. You're live.
I don't hear any echo from, no. I don't know what that noise is. But... So Alberto, I'm sharing the screen, I think.
Yeah, looks good.
There's Chi-Chi.
It's live.
Chi-Chi's there.
What?
You should mute.
The little monster.
The
Bye,
big
Mike.
Chi-Chi with Mike.
That's a little red squirrel on my arm.
The red one?
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
I think that was it. I think it's muted. Okay, Alberto, you have shared screen.
Oh, okay. So then that means I can record or something, right? No,
You
no.
should. Oh, wait a minute. I know what I need to do. Okay, now you can.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to plug you guys in if I can figure out how.
It's interesting. Kate Putock is doing Frost's we talked about last week.
Look, she's biting me.
Saw you. Chi-Chi.
I think so.
The little jumpy one. Jumps. Give me that. Want to play with this? See, she likes to play. She likes to just run around and play this tag game with me.
She looks like she's flying.
So she's usually as brown as the one that you see there with Mike. But when the winter came in, her fur just fell out and all this gray stuff came up.
Winter coat.
Yeah, so it was as brown as this little patch here. So I'm guessing in the springtime, she's just gonna get brown again.
Oh, maybe she's getting old.
Yep.
So how is it that their body knows to do this?
But she's not outside. She's not an outside.
She's not outside, so she's not exposed to the elements where those signals can get
And
to.
the other explanation is photo period.
Right. Photo period. That's it.
The duration of the light.
Yes.
The sunlight.
White-tailed deer and other mammals do the same things.
So even though she's not exposed to the stimuli as the other squirrels are, because the thing is that since we're indoors, right, and I don't get too much sunlight.
Temperatures are.
Hector, don't you?
Yeah.
There he is.
So I'm guessing maybe even the slightest triggers will probably get to them.
Hi, Hector.
So you know that there's this thing where trees
And this is Radio
every
Social,
every 7 years they release a massive
a
amount of
weekly
nuts,
program.
more than
You
normal.
can call it a program where we just gather around the, I usually say water cooler, but actually we gather around our computers. And I gather around the studio microphone. And we do a radio version of gathering around the cooler. Radio Social is an hour every week where we kind of pull back the curtain and are less of a radio station than we are just a community conversation. And lots of people stop by. Today we have 9 people here. And not to mention a whole bunch of animals. And everybody's here to talk about what it is to navigate these interesting times that we live in as we come down the home stretch of 2020, right? Everybody's favorite year. I'm Ursula Rudenberg, station manager, and I'm going to turn on the microphone so these guys who are with us via Zoom can also introduce themselves. Cornelia, I'm going to toss it to you first.
I'm Cornelia Flora. I'm a sociologist who's supposed to be retired, but it seems to me I work about 12 hours a day. Over. My granddaughter who's here thinks it's over that. But I also listen to KHOI and consider it one of the real blessings of living in this area. Alberto?
Hey guys, I'm from New York. Name is Alberto. I bring you that New York vibe, and I bring you Chi-Chi, and I bring you Ash, and all of those other squirrely animals. So
Chi-Chi is the squirrel and Ash is the dog.
yeah, Ash is the dog.
We got lots of animals here at Radio Social.
Yes, and we have Taco the guinea pig with us.
You mean Daryl?
Except now he's Daryl because it's Christmas time.
Yeah.
Yes, they get new names every Christmas.
Yeah. So Stephanie.
Hey, thank you. This is DJ Stephanie. I have a radio. This is Rue, by the way. You can't see it on radio, but this is our Rue. She didn't born without arms that work. She's a cat. She makes do, and I love her very much. And I also am waiting for you to send me Chi-Chi in the mail, Alberto. But meanwhile, I have a show called Love of Music on Thursday nights at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. Love of music, songs we love, why we love them.
Why don't you pass the conversation on?
I'm going to think about it. I'm going to pass it on to Sam Wormley.
Thank you, Steph. I'm Sam Wormley, and together with Mike Metz and Mary Richards, we put together a weekly science program called Science Bites. It airs on Tuesday afternoons at 4:30. And it's a lot of fun, and we share our excitement about science. I'm going to pass it on to Hector.
Hi, Hector. Welcome back.
Hello, hello, hello. I didn't want to miss the almost last show of the year after this hectic year, but for me, it's been such a joy to be able to join you every every Monday or every other month on this show. Hector Bombiela, I'm from Colombia. Was Ames community member, former student of Cornelia and Jan Flora, part of the family of KHOI. I'm gonna pass it on to Mike.
Feliz Navidad, Hector,
Hey.
and everybody else. But through the magic of technology, I brought up a background photo of a water cooler for Ursula's pleasure. But I will change it back to an animal. It's much more pleasing. I'm Mike Metz, one of the producers and co-hosts of Science Bites. Sam pretty much covered the program. It'll be on at 4:30 tomorrow. And I also help with Tuesday morning local talk, which is a fun thing to do, and it gets you up in the morning. So with that, I will pass it on to Alberto.
I already had it.
Angel.
Oh, I'm here. I'm here with I was gonna say Chi-Chi. Look at me. Actually, my baby, my my everything. I'm so glad to be here with you guys again. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Always enjoy this hour. It is amazing for me, and I'm just so excited for tonight because tonight we're gonna see the big star.
Mhm.
Apparently, that's what they say. The two planets getting together.
It'd be like the Star of
They,
Bethlehem.
they say that it's gonna be on the East Coast where we live. It's gonna be like really appreciated. So we're gonna. I'm gonna try to see if I can see it. I
What is
live on a fifth. I live on a fifth floor, so I'm gonna jump in the fire escape to see if I can see that.
what is it like a solstice or what?
It's gonna be the planets Jupiter and Saturn. They're gonna get together and they're gonna
Yeah.
create like a big star.
It's supposed to be a really special event, isn't it?
It is a big, yeah, it is a big event because that happened in like I think eight 800 years ago.
Mike,
Mike.
Happened about 630 years ago, getting this close, but it happens about every 20 years. It's called a conjunction between
Yeah,
Jupiter. And for the unaided eye, when you look at it tonight, it'll be in the southwestern part of the sky. And you can start to see it about 15, 20 minutes after sunset. Will
the
be a
sunset.
good time to see it.
And which planet does it align? Does it align with?
It's Jupiter and Saturn.
Saturn. Mhm.
Yeah, Saturn.
So is this the same thing that in the song Aquarius it goes when the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars? Is this the same type of event? No?
I am not
No,
sure.
Sam's shaking his head.
no,
Says that's
the song refers to the fact that the spring equinox occurs with the sun in a different constellation that the earth spins, but it spins like a top, and it takes about 25,000 years for it to go around once. And that causes the sun on the spring equinox to appear in a different constellation about every 2,000 years. So that's what
and
the
that
song.
that was the harmonic convergence, right? That happened in 1968.
No.
No?
No.
Something happened to make us all so strange, that's for sure.
Just a little flexibility in the lyrics of the song.
Well, I think it was Mike that pointed out a really interesting coincidence was right before this show went on the air. The poem that we discussed at great length came on KHOI, right? The Robert Frost poem, "Stopping in the Woods on a Snowy Eve." So that was a really beautiful little coincidence, and it's really. I really enjoy seeing you all again, and it's great to have you back, Hector. We've missed you down there in South America.
Means you too. Mhm.
It's good to have you back. So, as usual, the floor is open, and obviously, this conversation never stays controlled in one spot. So that's a good thing. And Sam's wearing a hat, which is a good thing, I guess. And everybody's got their pets, and so I was wondering whether we wanted to start the conversation by talking about the holidays, since this is the week of Christmas,
Yes.
and then see what happens. And so, I'll start out by saying last year,
oh,
last
really
year,
helping.
I ended up alone on Christmas, which is actually something that I really, really like. Um, because I do feel there is such a thing as a Christmas spirit. It's kind of like an interesting energy that I connect to my grandfather, who was a minister in Switzerland. And I like being alone because it allows me to feel that energy because it's very, very subtle. And for some reason, I was alone here in Ames. Everybody else in my household was gone. I don't know what happened, but everybody was gone. And I was here. And I went for a walk in Munn Woods. Those of you who don't live in Ames, you don't know Munn Woods, but it's just a natural area in town, which is kind of close to my house. And for those of you who don't live in Ames, we have a lot of deer in Ames. We have deer everywhere, like, you know, those deer statues people put in their front yard. We all have real deer standing in our front yards. And so I was walking in the woods and I came upon a group of deer that were standing next to the path. And most of them ran away, but one of them she was a doe. She stood her ground and she just stood there and watched me. And I was wondering like how, because the path was going to take me right next to her. And I was wondering what she would do as I approached. And so I kept my head down to try as much as possible as a human can to indicate lack of aggression, I guess. I don't know how much deer read our body language, but I was trying to, you know, show that that I came in peace. And I was able to walk up right in front of her. And when I was right in front of her, I looked up and I was maybe about 6 inches away from her eyes.
Oh,
And she just looked right back at me.
oh,
And we just stared at each other for about a minute. And then I lowered my eyes because I didn't want, you know, because I know that it eventually it means aggression and I didn't know how she would react to that. But for about a minute, which is a long time really,
yeah.
we stared into each other's eyes and it felt like such an incredible Christmas gift that I really got to look into the eyes of a wild animal for a minute. And I saw the expanses, the expansive universe in her eyes, you know, the wild. I saw it there in her eyes. And she allowed me to see it. She allowed me in. And it really felt like you know, a huge Christmas gift. And I walked home and I just felt so full of joy and this kind of amazing, wild, beautiful feeling that I had been allowed to touch something with my eyes that usually I can't, you know? So that was my beautiful Christmas memory from last year. I was really glad that I, you know, had that quiet moment to experience something like that. So that's me.
Yeah, my closest encounter with something special like that here in New York City is the rat that I cross by every day. As
I had
go
a similar
through.
one, Ursula. It
Yeah.
wasn't Christmas. It was outside the Flora's house, actually. Uh, one day, I think it was fall, and I saw, and now you're gonna correct me if I'm not right, a white fox,
Huh. Maybe a gray
probably
fox.
a gray fox. Then,
Probably a
yeah,
gray
it was
fox.
a
Yeah.
fox anyway. And then,
That's a rare fox, actually.
No matter the color, it was a fox.
or maybe it was white. For me, it was like
Maybe
white, and so
maybe it was.
exceptional.
Might have been a
It
snow
was.
fox.
Say again.
Go ahead.
It might have been a snow fox.
Maybe I'm not sure. I can't remember if it was snowing or not, but it was like that. We stared at each other for seconds, and it is an overwhelming experience. It was very,
It's beautiful, right?
very rich. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's like the whole universe is still in front of you. Yeah, it's amazing. All those, and afterwards, I just started like staring at birds and other animals around to see if they look back at me. And then yeah, and then sometimes I felt like they actually did look at me. So that was nice. It was like an opening, you know, like a moment that from there I start paying more attention to those signs of nature, I guess.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
Thank you, Hector. That's really. You know, Alberto, you were talking about the rats. When I lived in New York, I worked up on 118th Street, well, right across the street from the Conservatory Gardens in Central Park. I
Oh,
think it
that's
was,
yeah.
yeah, and which is kind of a formal garden in Central Park, and it has a little pond in it with the lilies. And in the summer, a lot of ladies come there to eat lunch around. They sit on the benches around the pond,
They
and
still doing it. They still doing it because my mom goes to the hospital right there, Mount Sinai Hospital,
right, Mount
and
Sinai, right,
yeah, and they still have the beautiful gardens
yeah.
starting from April to the whole summer. I've been there. many times. It's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
still there.
And you know, my sister had a cat named Andy. Andy was a Manx. He didn't have a tail. And Andy was a very fine character, and he died. And we didn't want to put Andy in the garbage, and we wanted a decent burial for him. And at the time, I was a park ranger, so I had a truck, a parks truck, and a uniform. And so I took I took the truck and I drove into the conservatory gardens, and I took a shovel and I put, yeah, I had my uniform on, and then I just like walked right in front of everybody and started digging a hole
You were
in the
on
garden,
official business.
official business, and I buried Andy right there. But what I was going to say about the rat was, when the ladies, when they eat lunch there, squirrels come to beg. And what the squirrels do is
Yes.
they sit up on their hind legs and they put their little paws, near their chest to look cute. And then they sit there and they wait, and the women think they look cute and they give them food. So all the squirrels come and do that. So I was watching this because I would go there to eat sometimes, and this rat, he noticed what was happening. And so the rat thought, well, I can do that too, right? So every time the squirrels would come and do that, this rat would come running up and sit up in front of all the women. And everybody would scream and throw things at him and chase him. And like, oh, a rat, and the rat was just kind of like, what? I did it too. But that poor rat, he never, he
Ursula.
never got accepted.
That's so funny.
They're in the same family, rats and squirrels. They're all both
Yeah.
rats. Yeah.
Well, I think it's because the squirrels have fur on their tail. I think that's the problem.
Well, last year, I had an experience because I spent the Christmas with my sister in Massachusetts, in Northampton. And we went out for Christmas Day and we went to a park because the weather was nice, even though we had a little bit snow. And it got dark before we got home. And I have an experience with a skunk when I came out of the car. And I was like, I didn't know what was that
You didn't know what a skunk was?
until I smelled that. And I was like, what is
Oh
that?
no.
My
Oh no.
sister, my sister was like, you better come home now, get out from the car and go home because that thing is gonna come out with some kind of liquid and we won't want you in the house.
The interesting thing about skunks is that they don't normally spray just for no reason.
Unless you attack them.
Right, it's a defense mechanism that they kind of save for the last resort, because they don't want to waste it. You know what I mean? Because it takes time for them to replenish that solution that they create because it's a special mix.
And let me tell you
To
something.
refill.
And let me tell you, it was beautiful because I saw it. They're cute, but the smell is not cute at all.
No, it's a defense mechanism. So, Mike, he was going to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say it related to the skunk now. There's a surefire formula. Don't use tomato juice. There's actually one. And what I'll do is I'll get it to Ursula and she can send it to everybody, but it involves hydrogen peroxide, soda, and dish soap. And you can't put it together because it starts to react right away, but it will neutralize that smell.
Okay, 'cause
And-
I'd always heard tomato juice.
Yeah.
No.
And with my dad in 2015 when my dog got sprayed by a skunk in our backyard at 2 a.m. and my mom went around the house unplugging everything, including my nightlight, which I woke
Oh.
up. And it smells like burning rubber, and we had to get rid of our couch for it.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
Yeah, the smell is horrible.
yeah.
Well, that'll be a little Christmas present. I'll give it to Ursula and she can distribute that to you guys.
You know what a Samoyed dog is? You know what Samoyeds look like? They look kind of like a big white wolf.
They look like the husky, right?
They look like a husky, but they're pure white, and they're
Mhm.
kind of wolf-like. And I had a Samoyed, and he got into a skunk, and
Oh.
we bathed him with tomato juice, and we never got that tomato juice out of his hair, so he was always pink after that. He ran around. He looked like a pink wolf.
That's cute.
That reminds me, I got to paint Chi-Chi's tail.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she needs
Yeah,
to.
he did it. He done it before. It was purple.
Yeah. So this way, in case she ever sneaks out, I can identify her real quickly. I don't know how many trained squirrels are out there that's pretty much exposed to people and can just have no problem coming up to them, you know? Because as from what I hear, there's a couple of people who try to keep them, you know? I'm not sure how they do it, but because I know mine's Chi-Chi's a pain in the butt. So it's almost
Yes, it is.
it's almost impossible to have Chi-Chi, you know? But I deal with it. You know, it's not easy.
You are very noble and we appreciate it.
I want to.
All right. Any other Christmas stories?
I have a sad one
Oh God.
about this
Oh.
Christmas that you can tell Lily's here and her mother drove in straight through from Denver. And our Toronto family, which is a son-in-law, daughter, and twin
Other
granddaughters,
daughter.
plan to drive down.
They would have been here today, probably in the meeting.
Yes, they would have been here, but they got to the border and Natasha and the two girls have dual citizenship.
But
But-
no,
but
they
Matt-
wouldn't let Matt into the U.S. Matt is my uncle, just
Which-
because he's not a citizen.
So Matt, my son, our son-in-law, who is a Canadian citizen and who had they actually spent quite a bit of money to get a really recent, up-to-date negative COVID-19 test that was negative for COVID-19. And the guys at the border just hated it. They said, it's not up to us, but we just can't let you in. So we're not going to have them here at Christmas.
Oh, wow.
I thought it was
Going to burn down the
particularly
border.
odd that a country like the US with our very high infection rate did not let in somebody from Canada with a relatively low infection rate, who also had documents saying they didn't have it. But that's how we, I guess, make rules.
No, and I'm sure they could have made it by plane, no?
Yeah, they could have, but it's just super
Well,
unsafe
I'm
for
not,
planes.
yeah, we're really trying to be careful. And a friend of ours from our church goes to Merida in the Yucatan Peninsula, and he got down there, and we had a meeting, and he had a very bad cough on the video on Zoom, but then he was hospitalized for 2 weeks on a ventilator with COVID, and I'm just sure the 3 airplanes he took to get there
Oh my
were
God.
not healthy. So I would not want people flying.
Right.
Oh.
But he's out of danger now, but he's not feeling all that great.
No, we're
Praise
sorry
the
about that.
They say
We're gonna pray for him.
They say that planes are pretty safe with traveling and COVID, even though they're in confined environment. They always have this air circulation thing.
Yeah, there's always circulating air. Like apparently the air is like healthier than being inside a school or a store.
Yeah, because it circulates from the top down to the floor.
Yeah.
So all of the particles are being pushed from the surface area down to the floor. That's from what I understand. That's just how it goes. Plus,
Yeah,
it-
you're right.
But
Plus-
it depends on the airplane too.
Depends on the airline service because we have
'cause if the airplane is going up, I mean, I'm not sure about when it's up there, but if it's going up, you know, because of the displacement, you're gonna have the particles floating down anyway. You know, so that's another thing to take. Am I wrong on this? Or is it at the same velocity because it's being expelled with the same rate?
Well, but you have to remember that if you're on a plane, you are inside the plane.
That's the velocity. That's what I'm talking about. Right, Mike?
No,
So inside
Maybe.
the plane, the air cannot circulate.
All right, Mike, go ahead.
the cabin is pressure
So it doesn't matter if you're going up or down or, you know,
'Cause he's still,
it's the same
You
air.
stay there. You stay there. Unless they open the windows, and they cannot open the windows all the way up there because it would be really devastated.
Yeah,
Mike,
it
what-
wouldn't
what is-
matter if there is COVID around or not.
So what does the
If
science guy
windows are
say?
open.
that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the science guys to kick in. What's up, Sam?
Well, it's my understanding that COVID is really transmitted by surfaces in airplanes more than the airflow system because they've got a lot of filters in place in the airflow system. So, you know, somebody can cough on you or sneeze, that kind of thing. But you really want to wash your hands immediately after you exit the plane and probably before you get onto the plane.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like right here in New York, we use the public transportation, and every time I get on the train, I got this. I got this bottle of spray with alcohol. So I just spray the seat before I go in there.
Mike, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to add, plane of the air carrying portion is probably the safest. It's the terminal where you're crowded with all of those folks and you don't have good air circulation and you're in close proximity with folks.
That is a really good point. So, and particularly when you're waiting in line to go through customs, would be
Right.
a really good way to get it.
I
Well,
like
yeah.
Mike. I like your backgrounds. It keeps changing.
Well, I had the Samoan dog up for a while so you could all see. And then I, of course, had
Beautiful.
some reindeer. So, yeah, now it's just my lowly pup and she's on the couch sleeping. She thinks
Aw.
she's pouting.
So Mike is doing this on the fly as we're speaking, and he's just capturing our vibe and displaying the pictures as he goes. Is that what?
You know-
because it's not a video.
May have seen a prairie plant with a bumblebee on it, and I did not do that. The cat jumped on my mouse. But she changed that picture.
It's a
So-
good thing you have.
So Hector, I was kind of curious what's happening down there. We haven't seen you for a long time. What's
Oh,
new in
yeah.
Colombia?
What's new in Colombia? In Colombia, usually, not sure if this is related to, but the fiscal year is every December, I guess, every year, like calendar year. So for us who work for the government, they have to declare and everything else. It's all during November and December that everything happens. So it's kind of the busiest. I'm kind of ashamed to say this, but because I feel so adult with having to do all these paperwork things that they just keep us very, very busy, like reporting final year results, etc. And so that's one. And the other one is that, now it's the second wave momentum, I guess. They try to keep it open, like flexibly restricted for the last couple months. But apparently, I'm not sure this is happening while we talk, like today and tomorrow, they are going to shut down again. Many things, like a lot of restaurants again, and we're going to start implementing again the like ID number, and we call it pico y cédula, like ID and pike or peak hour. Like, so if your ID number ends in 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9, then you can go out those days and use the facilities, etc. If your ID ends in a pair number, then you can go leave home on those days. So they start to restating all these restrictive measures because there are 80 to 90% occupation in intensive care units. Yeah, so there's also, on the other hand, they start talking that we are so ready for the vaccine to come. All facilities, you know, in urban areas especially, they're, I think, speculating a little bit that it's going to be okay. The government, the president also announced that they already made deals with different pharmaceuticals to purchase like 40 million vaccines to distribute. So many things. And also the last one, the gossip is, political gossip is that Duque, our president, has not yet received Biden's call because he support Trump openly.
Oh,
Yeah, openly and in a kind of grotesque way also. So I'm not sure if it's true or not, but you know, it's part of the show. So there you go, few information about what's going on in Colombia. But in general, it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same. I think it was good that many businesses reactivated. They had the possibility to probably open, at least for delivery, small stores, some like tiendas de barrio, like small stores in neighborhoods. They could open again without many restrictions. But yeah, it's going to be kind of hard for everybody on January, I guess. And so they are trying to keep people under control during this couple weeks
Hector,
where everybody is out. Yeah.
Where are you in Colombia?
I'm in Bogota.
Oh, okay. Because like 23 years ago, I had a chance to go over there, and I went to Pereira,
yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
and it's
That's so
so
cool.
beautiful. And I love the people from Colombia. I have a lot of
Yeah.
Colombian friends, and
Oh, well,
and I love
have
the
another one.
food, especially the bandeja paisa.
Mhm.
I know. Yeah.
Eileen. Hector, as you know, I get this indigenous listserv, and it
Yep.
looks like they're still killing an awful lot of indigenous leaders in both Guajira, which is the north of the country, and also in Cauca. And I'm very concerned about that. Duque concerns me greatly because of his emulation of Trump. But is that in your newspapers?
Yes, but I'm not sure if they call it polarization. So everybody goes to the edge or to the far side of each, political position. So if they are, the arguments against the government is that they are actually the one that is kind of sponsoring all these massacres, and the ones from the government say that it's the same guerrilla that used to, that signed the peace agreement a couple of years ago, that they are now rearming and killing their own leaders. So there is a lot of misinformation. You got to be very careful reading, those special reports or, community or popular press release. You got to dig a little deeper when it comes to figure out those facts. But the reality is that the army is more empowered to at least to push and to pressure and to displace and to bully the social leaders. That's a fact. That's true, because
You
And,
mentioned
we are in a far
and,
right wing government. So
and
yeah.
indigenous people in Latin America, particularly in the Andean region, but also linked to the US, have very tight networks of communication, including community radio in some places, which is a very important way that you can avoid the mainstream media, you can avoid the government censors, and say what you've seen.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We're seeing that, and it happens same as in US. Students, I mean, when I said students, I think about all like teenagers and people between, from 18 to 30. Where are they getting their information from? And I think it's it's very complicated because social media and all these social networks around, they are sharing news and information that is probably not accurate or just too superficial. So they could just learn about in Colombia, armed groups are killing indigenous people, and they just feel sorry about that, but they don't go further and see what are the real, intersections that are operating, and they're causing or allowing or provoking these terrible, situations and actions.
Now you mentioned the vaccines, and so how is it being distributed? Are they distributing any vaccines down there?
I don't know. I just saw a tweet, talking about social media.
Like down here, I know that they televise like 1 or 2 injections, but I haven't really heard of any vaccines, being handed out.
I know.
They televised
I think everything will start in January, no?
But that's what they did. Like I haven't heard of any real vaccinations going on with actual people, except for the tests and the people who have enrolled in for the tests. Has anyone else heard anything else besides?
Yeah, Alberto, I think New York is doing what Iowa's doing, which is the first round stays in the hospitals,
Yes.
and
yes,
it goes to long-term care facilities. So
It-
the vaccines are going to the hospital staffs in New
Yeah.
York.
In New York, there's going to because they already show in the news, is going to the essential workers, especially the people that work in hospitals, and other essential workers, like staff from the hospitals and maybe other, I don't know, but not sure yet for the public, for the rest of the people outside.
One of the problems is, as we have drained the swamp, we've gotten rid of the people in the Center for Disease Control, the people who could distribute the vaccine. And there's a huge problem of distribution. Like the vaccine arrived someplace too warm to be useful. We got in Iowa, we got way underneath the number of doses we were expecting. So there's just a real issue of, frankly, governmental competence that will make it more complicated, perhaps more controversial, and I'm afraid people will die.
Well, I have a question. This is Stephanie. The other issue that we have is those that are getting the vaccine. My friend Ramona, she's a physician in New York. She just got the vaccine, but in 3 weeks from now, she has to take that booster. So it's not just the one. And my understanding, if this is correct, it's 2 and 3 weeks.
It's 2. Yeah, you're right. It's 2.
Is that correct? So what if there's not enough then, or is not warm enough then? Then what happens to, like, how does that work? Like, how do we know we'll have enough for the people that have had the first immunization and then to get the next one and make sure they get it in time? And that was a concern that Dr. Warren has in New York right now.
Seems to be like the government has to kind of make us feel secure that this is going to be happening the way they intended to happen. Because as far as I hear you, and from what you're expressing, is the lack of, especially like Cornelia was saying, it's just they're not organizing, they don't have it together, So they just have to make us feel secure, like these vaccinations are gonna be handed out the way they say they're gonna hand them out, because we can't go, like you said, we can't go get one shot and then not have the other, especially if we need that booster, So it's the competence, like Cornelia was saying. We just, government has to secure us that they're going to be competent enough to get us our vaccines, especially if they want us to pick up our economy. People have to get back to work. So if you want people to get back to work, you got to give us the vaccine.
Yes.
Hello.
Or the sense of security, of safety.
Yeah. So as far as from what I'm hearing from Stephanie, is the competence of the system. And it doesn't have us feeling secure that they're gonna pretty much hand out or do what they say they're gonna do as they say they're gonna do it. You know, let's just hope that the Biden administration is going to be a little bit more competent than our last administration. You know, and if not, then, you know, there's going to be what, another 4 years? You know, oh God, another one. Let's just hope that it's not going to be another 4 years of incompetence, you know.
Well, you
I-
know, I was speaking recently with a doctor, and he said something which I didn't know, which is that this is the first time in history when the vaccine for a pandemic is being administered before the pandemic has ended. So this is really an experiment that nobody's done before. You know, it's never happened in history that the vaccine came during the pandemic. And he said that really the fact that we were able to develop a vaccine so quickly was because of all the research around HIV and AIDS, that was really the basis that gave people the ability to act so quickly. So it was kind of a perspective I'd never heard before. It was interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So that means that the amount of deaths could be way worse before they actually found a vaccine. I mean, according to what you're saying, history shows that it gets way worse before it gets better. You know, so we stopped it, or supposedly we found a way to stop it before it actually gets to that part where we get the worst before the better. So,
Well, we'll see, won't we?
Yeah.
exactly.
Unfortunately, it's an empirical question that cannot be answered. And we, you know, again, but I think it's really interesting. And I had heard what Ursula had heard, that the previous work on various SARS things, particularly with the HIV, really gave us a skilled group of scientists working on this kind of corona virus that allowed them to move much more quickly. But I hadn't thought about no other pandemic had this available during the pandemic.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah, that was.
Hector, I was wondering down in Colombia, are people planning to get together for the holiday, or is the government discouraging people from coming together for Christmas, for the holidays?
Yeah, well, they are allowing trips and traveling by plane and roads, but they're open. You know, the borders within Colombia are open. Families can get together, you know, friends, etc. But there is toque de queda. Neil, would you give me a hand? It's a curfew, yeah, from 6 to 6.
Lockdown.
Yeah, so you can't leave home. Everything will be closed. If you are outside, you need a justification or a special permit, or just go quick for a short errand around your house. But yeah, everybody should be indoors from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. this next couple weeks. I talk like a journalist. But yeah, that's
Well,
kind
you're
of
on the radio.
Well, there you go.
Well, it's
So
very
Colombia, most of the cities, I think that there could be probably Pereira, Angel could be open. That there are some the big cities, Cali, Medellin, Bogota, Cartagena, Barranquilla. They are going on shutdown, close down, lockdown for the next couple of weeks, because they are very, very concerned that this gets out of hand on January and February.
Yeah, I
So
think they doing
Paris
the same.
depends.
They doing the same thing in Puerto Rico. They closed at 7 o'clock. Everybody has to be indoors during this
True.
period.
Yeah,
So
it's possible. Mhm.
and there's no parties allowed. Only family. I mean, if you want to do something in your house, it's gonna be in your
You gotta
house.
do it with your grandma and
Exactly. And if you
And your-
get there, you
your
gotta stay
brothers
there
and
after
sisters.
7.
Agree.
Well,
Yeah,
Ursula,
so
is
it's
it?
gonna be different, Ursula. Sorry, Stephanie.
No, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Ursula, isn't it true that we can have get-togethers in Iowa, but the CDC guidelines say no more than 8 to a household for the gathering. And I'm not sure, I think that was the governor's last statement. However, then they're opening up the bars and the restaurants back to their normal hours. So it seems like conflicting to me as far as what we should be doing to drive the numbers down. Is it 8 to a household? I don't think you're not supposed to have more, but how can you monitor that?
Yeah.
Even if you could, like right here, like even if you could monitor it, how can you enforce something like that?
Yeah.
Some households here in New York have more than 8 to a household. You know, they're just so crammed up. I mean, like, you know,
They're already there.
yeah, like if you have a 2-bedroom apartment and you have like 8 people already in there, that's a lot of people for a 2-bedroom apartment.
Right.
It's a lot of people, but you can't really control that situation because that means that you will have to order certain individuals, and then that means that they have to have a rent, they have to have income, you know, and how many of these individuals, I mean, you know, the government just is not taking care of us that way. You know, I wish they would, you know, I wish they could be like, you know, here's a universal income or basic income. So this way you can have your apartment and be able to eat and, you know, and rough out this epidemic, this pandemic, you know, and this way we can better control the situation. Because if everyone has their own environment, then we don't have this petri dish of infection where we just have everyone contaminating and infecting each other, you know. But the situation has come to actually put us together because a lot of people have lost jobs, they have lost incomes, and that forces a lot of people to kind of
Together.
consolidate and come together, you know. So the hit in our economy, the hit in our work, in our environment, and just the way we operate, you know, the government wants to take care of us, but they've done such a poor job that they've kind of made things worse in a way, you know, because they kind of, since they're not taking care of us, we have no choice but to come together and kind of share environments and share this petri dish that we want to avoid so much, you know. So if we don't have no jobs and no way to sustain an apartment, we're going to combine and live together, and the government can't really control that situation because they started it to begin with. So we're stuck.
Evictions are now beginning,
And they're going to be beginning, and then it's going to cause it even, you know, it's going to cause us to consolidate even more than what we are now. So, you know, how do we enforce something like that? You know, we can't, because it's our own making. You know,
I wanted to say one happy thing, which was today we went around on our walk around Ada Hayden Lake, and the geese are there. And some of them are, the lake is very low, so there are a lot of sandbars, and they like standing on the sandbars. And some of them are swimming around. There's sparkly ice on the edges.
And it sounds really cool.
And they are either chatting with each other or they're
Screaming.
complaining. We like to think it's chatting.
don't geese
But
might
I like to think it's complaining.
But it's really nice. And people who walk or jog or bike around the lake really try to keep socially distanced, wear masks. And it's just a chance to be out there to watch these incredible geese sort of set up their different places where they like to be. It's just really nice.
Yeah, geese don't migrate during this time of the year.
They come to us.
Oh,
Well, a lot of the geese have stopped migrating. They've lost their incentive to migrate. They stay because there's so much corn in the fields here in Iowa. It's
Oh my
a lot of them don't migrate anymore. They do practice runs. They fly around in formation.
Yes.
So they keep up their flying skills, but they don't really go anywhere.
And
Yeah, because they're supposed to live on winter, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I don't think
Go
they
to
do
warmer
anymore, right,
places.
Mike? I don't think they do. Do they, Mike?
That's right. There's so much food for them, and as long as they've got open water to get back to, because they need that water to for their metabolism to metabolize that grain. They'll stay here, and they will fly, round trip a couple 100 miles to go to a field and come back in a day.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're just doing like we do all America, right? We kind of like make the animals too, huh? Just great.
Unintended consequences, although.
We're just like filling up
Intended.
that niche, making sure that we play that big part. Yeah.
Lots of fast food in the cornfields.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah, we turned our to the Geese's McDonald's.
Oh my
This is
God.
McDonald's.
So Cornelia, we
Yeah.
don't very often have a young voice on Radio Social. Can we get your granddaughter, right?
Uh-huh. Lily, they want you to talk.
Would you say something to us before the show ends? Because we don't very often have a young person on our show.
So what
So
Say about the holiday.
yeah,
I like
tell us some-
Christmas.
what?
I like Christmas, and especially because I get presents.
Okay, there it is.
And,
Oh.
and you put up the Christmas tree this year, right?
Yeah, and we had a very special theme, which my family decided to break.
Yeah, and the holidays gives you a special reason to give your pet a different name, right?
Yeah.
So listen, let me ask you, are you the kind of family where people ask you what you want for Christmas? Or are you the kind of family where people surprise you?
I ask for Christmas.
So you have a list.
I have a very, very long list that concludes of 17 pages.
Oh,
Oh my
You're
God.
ready
Did
to
not
be
share it with your
surprised.
grandparents, fortunately.
I didn't share it with my mom either. I sent it to Santa.
Oh.
okay. Okay. Well, good luck with that.
we
Well, I
had-
hope Santa take care of you. Look at that, 17 pages is a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, you're gonna
My sister writes like 25 pages a year.
you're gonna need a U-Haul to get out of here.
Yeah. This is her stepsister, who's
Who's basically my sister.
who is now her sister.
What I'm enjoying about the holidays especially is making those cool videos for you guys,
Love them.
the just putting in all that work that kind of like stimulates the audio and the visual senses, so it allows me some time to kind of like become creative, and to bring that creativity to you guys so you guys can see and hear. So
Okay, I'm a witness of what Albert is saying because every time I call him on the phone, he say, "I'm working on the videos. I'm working on the videos." So I know he's dedicating his time doing
did
that for
that.
you guys.
We did that.
I would like to tell everybody that I went ahead and put the recipe on the chat. So go ahead and copy it off the chat. You can do that.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
So you've got it. And it
Okay,
does.
so if anybody has questions about how to get rid of skunk on their pets, contact Mike Metz through KHOI. We've got a recipe here for getting rid of,
Besides the tomato,
Do not
besides
use
the tomato juice, right?
yeah, maybe you should sell some of that special cocktail in our auction house.
it would be the component, not the you can't mix it. You cannot pre-mix it and neutralize it.
You gotta wear a face mask to prepare that recipe.
The photograph of the animal behind me has had it on her a couple of times in her lifetime. So, and she lives in the house.
Okay, we've got 3 minutes left. So do we do Christmas? Do we go around and do our Christmas message?
oh yeah.
Do we have that in us? This is our Christmas show.
All right, I can start saying I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas and many blessings for all of you. You are like part of my family now. since I've been on Mondays, and I feel so blessed with you guys. And I wish you the best, nothing but the best, and hoping that the new year comes better for all of us. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angel.
Okay.
It's good to meet
Hector.
you. This final show, actually.
Yeah, Hector. Hector,
Great
feliz Navidad
pleasure.
para ti y todos los tuyos en Colombia.
Feliz Navidad para todos. For all of you guys, it's been a great experience. I feel very fortunate to be part of this family. It feels safe to keep this bond with my second home, I would say. Which Angel, I live in Iowa for more than 10 years, and so it's part of my life. I never spent a Christmas over there, I think. I always come to Colombia to visit the family. But well, now I miss Iowa a lot. So best wishes for all of you. Stay healthy, stay positive. And yeah, just wait for the best. But I think if we kind of sit down and think and feel, this was somehow a very, very interesting and enrichful year for all of us. Taught us a lot, and I think we kind of come out stronger and better for what's going to happen next. So
I just wish the blessings of Christmas to everyone in the world. We have so many people who are suffering so much. People who, as we pointed out, have lost their homes, have lost loved ones, are not sure where the next meal is coming from. And may the generosity of the Christmas season allow us to be as helpful as possible.
Amen.
And I like the last lines from Good King Wenceslas. Therefore, Christian men be sure, wealth or rank possessing, ye who will now bless the poor, shall yourselves find blessing.
Amen.
You've all provided a little bit of light and hope, so things will get brighter from here. This has been a great group. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Dios quiere, esperamos.
And this has been Radio Social here on KHOI. And this is KHOI Story City Ames. And I think we are out of time. So I'm going to switch over to Letters and Politics.
Mike, I gave myself a haircut today and it was a little short, so that's why I'm wearing a hat.
That's a nice hat, by the way.
it's a pleasure to see you guys.
All right,
So,
Hector, nice meeting you.
Hopefully I'll see you next week, but certainly 2021, we will consolidate as a show, right?
Don't forget, Ursula, you're still on live YouTube.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Oh.
figure out how to